Well, it's a Wednesday afternoon here on Parliament Hill, and of course it has been a stormy 24 hours here in the nation's capital. It all started last night when the Minister of Finance, Jim Flaherty, gave a surprise press conference. I mean, it was a total surprise. I was sitting in my office around 6:30 or so doing some work. I started getting phone calls. People told me, you know what the Minister of Finance has done? He's just taxed income trusts and he's brought in pension splitting for seniors. Big surprise. Of course, as some of you will know, I've been working on this pension splitting income for a number of months now. I think it's quite unfair that pensioners who have all the income coming into the household in the hands of one person pay actually more tax than people with the same income with two incomes. So it's going to change. That's the good news. The bad news, I guess, for a lot of seniors is this income trust situation. Because now, of course, we're going to have the federal government ushering in a tax on income trusts, which means the return on investments for many seniors will actually go down. Why is it happening? Jim Flaherty says the whole integrity of the tax system is threatened when big companies like Bell Canada and TELUS get into the income trust business. Now, of course, as you would expect, this caused a huge ruckus in here today during question period. And a lot of people said, you know what, the Conservatives promised in the last election they would not do this, that they were friends of income trusts. And based on that, many people invested, many companies became income trusts. And bang, what happens 8 months later? Well, it's a different story. And that's why Jim Flaherty had to put up with what he put up with today in question period. Let's show you a couple of clips of what happened today, a few minutes ago, in this big stone building here.
The Honourable Member for Westmount-Vilmaki.
Last election, the Conservative Party lied to retire Canadians, to wait out years in this country, and the consequences are enormous. Monsieur le Président, les Canadiens ont investi.
Mr. Speaker, they indicated that they would not attack income trusts that enabled people to invest and to pay for their medication, pay for their household, their rent. How can the minister explain that he has done exactly the opposite of what he said in writing during the election campaign? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Order, please.
Mr. Speaker, in response to the member's comments, I'm pleased to inform the member that there is substantial provincial support, of course, for this initiative, including by the Minister of Finance of the province of Quebec, with whom I spoke last evening. This is an issue of national importance, not only with respect to the Government of Canada, but also with respect to the provinces, Mr. Speaker. And it is a question of tax fairness. Should corporations pay their fair share of taxes in Canada, or should we shift the balance more and more onto individual taxpayers? It isn't it.
The Honourable Member for Westmount-Vilmaki. Order, please. Mr. Speaker, this is like a bull in a china shop, the way the minister announced the radical changes to the tax system yesterday. Today, following the announcement, people are looking at their savings and seeing them melt away because the TSX and other exchanges are seeing their values dropping. People are going to have to work longer and harder in order to make up for this, and the minister is responsible. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, it's been said, and I quote, that the fact of the matter is this is an important public policy question. It has to do with revenue to all governments, including the provinces. It has to do with fairness in the business system of this country, and it has to do with productivity and growth for the future. We would like to get the policy right for the long term. I didn't say that, Mr. Speaker. It was a member for Wascana in this House on September 27, 2005.
Unionville.
Mr. Speaker, today, Canadian seniors and other investors, as a consequence of this government's broken promise, saw $25 billion of their hard-earned savings go up in smoke in 2 hours of trading. And in comparison, the government's pathetically small tax relief is $1 billion over a whole year. So with the loss in 2 hours of trading, 25 times bigger than the tax relief that this government is providing, how can they claim that this day of infamy, this Black Wednesday, is anything other than a total disaster for those who...
Order. The Honourable the Minister of Finance.
The member opposite would never go over the top, Mr. Speaker, I know. You know.
Order. The Honourable the Minister of the Finance has the floor to respond to the question asked by the Honourable Member for Union-Markham-Ville. We'll have a little Unionville, I'm sorry. We'll have a little order.
Thank you, Speaker. You know, after 13 years in government, Mr. Speaker, and some time in opposition, as of October 18th this year, the member for Markham said this about his party's position on this important subject for all Canadians. What he said is, we don't have a definitive position on this. This is what the former government offered. They offered confusion. We have provided clarity. They offered more confusion for independent families and their tax responsibilities. We offer balance in terms of corporations paying their fair share of taxes going forward in Canada.
Order. The Honourable Member for Markham Unionville. Order. The Honourable Member for Markham Unionville.
Mr. Speaker, let me explain to the House what this Minister of Finance offers. He offers a gross failure to manage the economy, a betrayal of investors who mistakenly took this minister and this government at their word, the single biggest blow to Canadians' wealth ever dealt by a finance minister, and a banana republic process bringing disrepute to Canadian capital markets. It's obvious that this minister has been a disaster on this file. When will the Prime Minister fire him?
Order. The Honourable the Minister of Finance. Order.
You know, Mr. Speaker, the RCMP are not investigating my Department of Finance. They're investigating your Department of Finance. And you know, Mr. Speaker, there were no leaks. There were no emails. There were no deals with friends on Bay Street. There was confidentiality, deliberation, and the provision of certainty for capital markets in Canada. And finally, an effort to create fairness for individual taxpayers and their families while you protect your big...
Well, all those MPs that you see standing there outside the House of Commons, like me, they're all going to have to explain to their constituents over the next little while, especially seniors, what all this means. Because we have a new tax and income trust, we had the Toronto stock market go nuts today and diminish the value of a lot of those investments, but at the same time, the government's giving more non-taxable income to seniors, plus we have pension splitting. A confused situation? It will be, and seniors are going to have to figure out exactly over the course of the next few months how to best benefit from this. But I have some advice for you. I do. And that is, if you have income trusts, please don't sell them. Okay? This is not the day. This is not the week. Right now, the markets have reacted fairly negatively to this news. We've seen the depression of the values of a lot of income trusts. And I think probably this is a time to chill and just wait for the winds to blow through and not to sell those trusts and take a paper loss and turn them into a real one. And I'll be back at you over the next few weeks. We're going to monitor this very carefully, and once we know a little bit more of the tax implications, once the details are announced from Mr. Flaherty and the Department of Finance, then we'll tell you exactly what the appropriate strategy will be. That, of course, is if you still trust any of us here on Parliament Hill. We're politicians, we change our mind. Well, I try not to, but these other guys, I can't control them. Talk to you later.